Hi, it's David Andrew Wiebe with episode 46 of Dawcast Music Entrepreneurship. On May 10th and 11th, I had a chance to attend a weekend songwriters workshop, and I also had the chance to present and put together a workshop. And my topic was on social media, so I called it, I Want You, How to Build an Online Community to Support Your Music Career. So if you're hearing this for the first time, you should know that it's a fairly interactive and casual atmosphere. And as far as the activities go, I would encourage you to stop the podcast and follow along and go ahead and do them. Of course, I'm guessing a lot of people listen to this show in their car or while they're walking or what have you. You may want to take some time at home to take some notes and listen to this episode if you want to get a better sense of how to go about structuring your online marketing and social media strategy. So without further ado, here is the workshop, and I will meet you back in the closing segment. If you have any questions or comments regarding this podcast, send an email to comments@daw-music.com. All right, hello everyone. I'm David Andrew Wiebe. Had a chance to get to know you, so you probably know that already, but it bears repeating. So just in case you're wondering, that's kind of my brand as well. I'm known online and as a musician, David Andrew Wiebe. I'm primarily a musician and an entrepreneur. There's probably other words and titles I could use to describe what it is I do, but it kind of fits under those two broader headings. Jonathan said that I had to be funny today because both him and Tony are quick-witted and they have a good sense of humor. I'm not going to try to compete. I have my own strengths. I think I am funny at times, but I'm not going to compare my bloopers with somebody else's highlight reels. So, I do want you to formulate questions in your mind, but I've built discussion times into the session. So I want you to save them for a little later. If anything needs clarifying, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, we'll discuss it a little bit later on if that sounds good. JF was actually the one that suggested I create a title for the workshop that sounded like a lyric or a song title. So that's why it's called I Want You, How to Build an Online Community to Support Your Music Career. And so that probably brings a couple of songs to mind, maybe by the Beatles or Peter Frampton. And in today's session, you will learn two key things that will help you with building your online presence. So as you probably know, we're talking about social media today. How many people here use social media to market their music? Pretty much everyone? Awesome. So let's brainstorm some social media sites. You can go ahead and shout them out or talk them out as the case may be. It is a small room. YouTube, awesome. What else?
The Facebook.
What else?
Reverb Nation.
Awesome. I'm glad you went there.
MySpace.
Yeah.
Boo.
My what?
SoundCloud.
Yeah, SoundCloud, awesome. What else?
Last FM.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
totally.
RDO.
RDO? I guess so.
What's that? It's like Reverb Nation, but it's like bands.
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp is, yep, you're correct.
CBC.
CBC kind of has a social component to it now. Yep. What else? Is that it?
There's one that
Twitter.
there's one that
Tumblr.
gives away
Yes.
albums for free, and then it's based on donations. What do you call it again?
Is that Bandcamp you're
I think
thinking of?
Bandcamp does that.
Maybe, but it's not that one. There's another one.
There's like a fundraising one?
I think there's one called Gumroad or something like that.
I think it starts with an E for some reason.
Okay.
CD Baby.
CD Baby?
Yeah, that's the one.
Technically not a social media site.
iTunes.
iTunes? Technically not social media sites.
Okay.
iTunes kind of had a social component for a while. Apple failed miserably at that. Anything?
Everything.
What?
That's everything else.
Yeah. Not really. Any other sites you can think of? I'm still looking for more.
Must be something else for video.
Yeah,
Oh,
there are.
Vivo?
Vimeo.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
Vimeo
cool.
or Vivo?
Yeah, Vimeo is the other YouTube one.
That actually made
And
me,
they do have a social thing there.
that actually made me think of a tool and resource I can recommend later. Anything else?
Funny or Die.
Funny or Die. Don't worry about that too much.
What? Will Ferrell owns that one. That's the best one.
Anything else? I can fill up the rest of the list for you if you want.
Sure.
Okay. LinkedIn,
Oh, yeah.
Google Plus.
Oh yeah, Google Plus.
With all those 15 users. The two that we should use, but nobody does.
Yeah.
Well, and especially LinkedIn, that's like where people with real jobs go. So it's
And then we got some photo sharing sites.
All those losers.
Instagram and Flickr, right? There's also Pure Volume. That's another one that's like Reverb Nation. And then we're getting into kind of the apps territory with Vine, as well as Doubler. And I'll talk about each of these a little bit. Oh, well, I guess. Start with Facebook. Because of their recent algorithm change, a lot of your posts don't get seen as much as they used to. So if you thought it was bad before, it's worse now. It's more highly competitive than ever before. And people only engage with brands about 6% of the time on Facebook. MySpace has changed what they're doing. Right now, I feel like they don't really know exactly what direction to go in, and their site reflects it. But they do have a new platform, and it's more music focused than ever before, which means musicians should consider looking at it again. You can share social updates to Facebook and Twitter, so there's some opportunities there for cross-posting for those of us that are lazy. And all you can do really right now is upload a profile photo, a background photo, and then you can post updates. I think you can like other people's music as well, maybe comment on it, but that's about what MySpace allows for. Bandcamp recently implemented a social, I guess it was probably months ago now, social component to their website, and that actually has boosted sales by about 40%. Twitter is a fantastic platform. The more updates you put out, the more traffic you'll send back to your website. Now you have to do that within a reason. You can't just schedule 1,000 updates in a day and expect people to continue to follow you, because that's going to be a lot of noise. But I think one of the marketers, Chris Brogan, actually posts about 60 times a day on average on Twitter. It's quick and short. Tumblr is considered a microblogging platform like Twitter, but it's more visual, kind of like Pinterest. And Pinterest is sending more referral traffic to people's websites than any other website, any other social network right now. So bands being a visually heavy medium, photography and video, it's a good place to post some of your stuff. It might require some experimentation to find what works for you. Instagram, you have some cross-posting possibilities. You can send a lot of your updates to Facebook and Twitter and Flickr as well, I believe. And I think there was one other site that you can send your photos to once you take them with Instagram, if you integrate them with other social media sites. Unfortunately, with cross-posting to Twitter, your best bet is actually to post a photo like pic.twitter.com using their platform instead of posting from Instagram. It's about actually 40% less the time people engage with Instagram photos. They still like Instagram photos, but they don't engage with them as much. And then we have kind of a few that are really geared towards musicians. And I'd say even less than their artists to some extent. These sites, I would say there's one thing we should be aware of as musicians, and that's that these are basically sites for musicians by musicians. Not a lot of people in the general public actually go to them you have to send traffic to them. And that makes it a lot trickier to market your music on those sites. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them, but in general, we find that as musicians, we still have to market and promote it a lot to get the attention that it deserves. So, I've prepared a few mindset things that I think are important to understand. I have 9 points. And the first point with social media is online communities are for facilitating discussions. So, in other words, social medias are not a sales engine. We often look at it that way. You could probably follow 100 bands on Twitter tomorrow, and what you're going to find is that most of them are saying, check out our latest video, check out our latest album, check out our latest song. Most musicians would do well to remove that word check out because social media is not a sales engine. So why are we using it like it is? It's for social. It's an opportunity to learn about your audience because they're often asking questions. Even if they're not asking anybody directly, if you follow their streams, you can see that there is an opportunity for you to fill some niches. Too many bands treat social media as a one-way broadcast channel rather than a two-way dialogue through which emotional storytelling can be transferred. That's a quote by Simon Mainwaring. Point number 2 is logic is the language of the mind, and story is the language of the heart. I think we saw that yesterday with Jonathan and Tony's sessions. Songwriting allows you to access the heart more so than the mind. But I am going to prove this to you. I brought a phone book with me. And I'm going to read a few things out of it. Atlantic Auto Body Limited, 172219 35th Ave, Northeast. Atlas Auto Body, 6212 Center Street, Southeast. Augie's Paint and Body, 604 36th Ave, Northeast. See, I'm losing you.
I'm gonna cry.
You're already lost. Okay?
I'm still wondering where you got a phone book and
I think Gabe left it at my place. I haven't told you anything that's untrue, right? As far as we know, those places of business exist in the locations that were mentioned in the book, right? So, yes, songwriting is about storytelling, likewise social media, and telling the truth. You don't need statistics to back up your song. Likewise, you don't need statistics to back up your story on social media. Sometimes it's helpful, using that with the content that you create, but you don't always have to. In other words, really talk about your why, not your what. I think many marketers have said that before. I think Simon Sinek is one of them. If you start with your why, the what will take care of itself. So what is your purpose? Why do you exist? Why are you writing music? Why are you creating music? That's more what your fans are going to be interested in. And then number 3 is serving your audience should be your goal. So be a connector and create a safe environment for your audience. Because building an online community is about bringing people together. And when you bring people together, they want a safe environment where they belong. A sense of belonging helps people when you're building online communities. It's an opportunity to share useful blog posts as well. And I'll cover blogging a little bit later on, and I don't know how many of you blog. Any of you? Alex does? Cool. Awesome. Jonathan, I've seen you put up a couple things here and there, but... and then number 4 is just never stop learning. Become a student of social media and keep up with the trends. That's the first thing. Because really, if you think back to the MySpace example, what happened? People kind of started leaving it around 2007, 2008. That's the big joke, right? look, your band looks like it hasn't done anything since 2008. Delete your profile if that's the case. Get rid of it. It's not helping you. What you want to be discovered in search, first of all, is your website. That should be your priority because it's your own space. It's not rented space. So that's the difference between ownership and renting. And then 2 is just learn from others who do it well. Because I give the example of check it out, check this out, check that out. And that's not really connecting with people. People who do social media well, even like George Takei, they engage their audience and they share something fun or their own insights on a topic. Number 5 is engage your audience frequently. I think we talked about the fact that this is pretty hard as a singer-songwriter. Because we don't even write frequently most of the time, let alone communicate with our audience. Because we don't say anything until there's something to say. That's a problem. We need something to say every day, if possible, but something consistent, even just weekly or monthly. What's going on? Are you still alive? Why did you set up a Facebook page if you're not going to update it? Right? Number 6 is just to clearly define your goals. A lack of focus leads to unfocused results. So you don't really know what you're after if you don't have goals for your social media campaigns. You don't know what you're measuring unless you have something to measure. Number 7, learn how to repurpose your content. So, most musicians have lyrics, correct? Everybody in this room writes songs with lyrics. That's one thing you can easily repurpose. You can share lyrics on Twitter or snippets of lyrics on Facebook. People do engage with that a lot. You used to get tons of likes and comments. And I couldn't tell you how well it works today, but I still think it's content that you've created. Why do you have to go and craft something new every time? You don't. You don't have to be perfect on social media. You just have to be consistent. Blog posts, podcasts, YouTube videos, there's ways of repurposing those as well. It's a little bit of advanced technique, but you could take a podcast episode and turn it into video, just attach a simple image or branding. You could turn an interview, like a podcast interview, into a blog post as well, just by having it transcribed. You can have a minute of audio transcribed for $1, I believe. So $1 per minute of audio. That costs money, and we don't always have that, but it is a way to repurpose what you've already created. So, don't try to reinvent the wheel every time, because your messages should stay fairly consistent if you know what you're after. Number 8 is go out of your way to add value to your audience. I was just going to say add value, but I think, again, we talked about the fact that it's hard to get out as a musician and do things. We have to push ourselves a little bit, even just to get out at night. So, go out of your way to add value to people, to your audience. Answer the questions they're asking. We already talked a little bit about that. And give people a reason to follow you. Why are people going to follow you? What are you sharing that people will want to come back and search every time? And come and check out your content? What would that look like? And then number 9, my last point, is to manage your expectations. How many of you know who Ariel Hyatt is? Nobody. Okay. She has a company called Cyber PR, and it is a digital marketing and social media management firm. And I'm going to relay the details of her story. I believe it was in a blog post or an article. I don't remember the exact details around it, but I think you'll get the point of what I'm saying. And basically, Ariel worked for a musician to build their online campaign. And put a lot of time into social media. And social media is really hard to measure as far as like return on investment, also known as ROI. It's kind of a buzzword. And over time, about 1.5 years time went into marketing this musician, and it seemed as though nothing was happening. So they were kind of angry and decided to cancel their service. But within a short amount of time after that, the musician was contacted by an industry person who had a lot of clout. And next thing you know, that musician was propelled to a higher level in their career. So we can't really underestimate the value of being consistent. You don't know where it's going to lead. An industry person could discover you over time if you continue to engage in postings. But if you stop, nothing's going to show up on anybody's stream. And then it's really about focusing on the delivery and not on the results. I think that's kind of the moral of that story. Keep giving people content, both paid and free, and that could eventually lead to bigger things. So we're going to transition into an activity here for a little bit. Does everybody know what a mind map is?
Yeah.
Anybody here don't know? Not sure?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might have done one in like school at some point.
What's that thing called?
What you're gonna do? What you're gonna do is pick a central focus. So we'll say online marketing, just as an example. You can circle it, draw pictures around it, whatever you want to do. If you're creative, you can definitely go into depth. And then you create branches off of it. So let's say my website is really more of my central focus when it comes to online marketing. Then I'm going to build my social media off of that. So what you could do is start with online marketing. If you don't have a website, just build your various social media sites that you currently have. But I also want you to think about what you want to add to your campaign. And if you'll get beyond this point pretty quickly, I think, so start building branches off of that too. What are you going to post on Facebook? Text, video, so on and so forth.
So would you say it'd be like a better idea to to invest all your time on your website and then to just post whatever links or like text with links to your website on the social media, so that way like all your traffic gets directed to your website, even though you're grabbing your audience from your social media?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess part of that whole mix is actually promoting other people's content as well, because then they notice you, right? Building relationships.
Right.
So that should be a big part of the mix. But when you're creating links to anything, if you can send people to your website, that is ideal. Yeah.
Okay. Like instead of uploading videos and a bunch of pictures to Facebook, do all that on your website and then just post links. Like, hey, dude.
I think you still need some of that media to engage on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because pictures are fantastic for engaging in social media in general.
Right.
So you still have to brand yourself, and you still have to give people a reason to be there. But the bigger database of photos or album should be on your website, not on Facebook, for sure. It's rented space, so they can claim your content and do whatever they want with it. Facebook could be gone tomorrow for all we know. So you can take 15-20 minutes to draw up your mind map, and then we'll continue on.
Is there any certain websites that you would recommend, or certain hosts, I guess, that you would recommend for your website?
Bluehost is known to be, it's a fairly popular platform because you can do one-click installs of WordPress.
You can sorry what?
One-click installs WordPress.
WordPress.
Yeah.
I'm on the A2 hosting. That's what I use for my
Yep.
website. You can get some free stuff on WordPress and Wiebe. You can get some free stuff there.
Yes.
What was that, Bluehost?
Bluehost. Yeah, I'm currently using IX web hosting. So if you want support, if you want me to help, then you might want to go with IX. On the other hand, if you feel you can figure out and you're fairly tech savvy, then Bluehost might be a good place to start.
How much do you pay these days in North America for web space?
Well, you have to pay for the hosting and the domain. So the domain is usually about $7.95 a year, but in some cases you can purchase a domain for 99 cents these days. And then for hosting, if you're starting on a shared plan, they'll usually ask you to give the annual cost up front, but it's about $7.95 or $8.95 a month.
For how much space though? Because if you want to add all of your images and preferably a big chunk of your sound on the website, that's going to cost you a lot of space.
Most share plans are quote-unquote virtually unlimited, but they are shared, meaning you're on the same web host as a ton of other people. Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes. So that means your website's going to run slower. You may end up having to upgrade to another solution, like a cloud storage, but you probably shouldn't start there because the price jump is pretty big.
Yeah.
There's lots of other sites like SoundCloud and Reverb Nation where they have little applets that
Yes.
you can actually bring into your site. And those are really handy too.
Yeah, I do like SoundCloud because for podcasting, I can also upload my podcast audio and then I can share it. And some people are more familiar with that player than other forms of Flash players.
It looks nice too. So.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, and people can leave comments in the middle of the
Yeah.
song, which
Yeah.
is, I think, the kind of defining
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing.
You can't do any video for that.
No. Yeah, it'd be nice if YouTube had a better system for that exact thing, where if you're like watching a video at whatever's
Yeah.
time is, because you can do it when you're commenting, you could put at and then the time, you can pick it up and you can click on it and it'll bring it to you.
Yeah.
But it'd be better if you could turn on something that'll pop up.
Yeah, even if they had like the waveforms under the video, right? So like exactly that, just or
Yeah, or like time
or you
on
just add the
something.
video on top of the waveform.
Yeah.
YouTube comments are so notorious that
Yeah.
unless
Yeah, that's true. They might not all be good
the
anyway.
quality of comments improve.
Good job. Yeah.
Does everybody have their mind map already? I'll give you a little more time.
Is there websites that you can use that you can update like straight from your phone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are.
Yeah, you can do WordPress from your phone now, can't you?
I believe so.
Yeah.
You can actually even send email updates to your WordPress blog.
Yeah.
There are, I'll cover a few more, I guess, later on with some of the apps and things, but even you can download apps for just about everything. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google+,
Okay, yeah.
all of them. You can.
A popular one that's been working really well on a lot of sites I frequent, where they want to keep things constantly updated, is they'll actually have a Twitter feed installed on the side of their website. So if
Okay,
you
yeah.
go to their website, you'll have like, in 1 hour ago they posted this on Twitter. So
Right.
even if they're not following you on Twitter, if they go to your website,
Yeah.
front page, they see the last like 3 or 4 posts that you made.
Okay, yeah. So that's like a widget?
Yeah, exactly. WordPress widget. You can usually grab plugins. If you're not using plugins on WordPress, you're missing out on most of its functionality. Probably 80%.
And you can find all sorts of calendars too for your shows and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You can put plugins and things.
I think there's one called MF Gig Calendar or something like that. So if you want a calendar on your website of upcoming gigs that you can update just using forms instead of manually typing it all in, you'll still have to type it in. But
And as a fan, if you're using Facebook, I would suggest creating an event rather than just a comment, because a comment gets lost and then it's way down. But an event is easier to find when I want to see somebody I go to their page and find an event, and it's a lot easier than trying to scroll down a blog or something and trying to find where they're playing and when they're playing.
Yeah, and that's actually getting trickier too because Facebook events are discovered less. Some people still check them a lot. I do.
I'll have like 10 a day though.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I think people ignore them like emails now.
Oh yeah.
Well, emails actually aren't ignored, but we'll get to that.
Emails coming back.
Yeah. Actually never died, surprising.
This is true. But yeah, I've been reading a lot about how a proper mailing list is becoming more important than, like, people thought that went away when Facebook started taking over.
Yeah.
But having a mailing list, which is something that
It's a great,
I
yeah.
think we need to bring back like the snail mail mailing list that bands used to have.
Oh, a newsletter?
Send in a self-addressed envelope too to this post office box.
Yeah, I like the snail mail idea for
Yeah.
sure. Or postal mail. Yeah. So I mean, one of the things you probably should think about too, like Dan talked about, is building your email list. It's not something I'm going to cover in great detail today, but I think that's a really important point. Thanks for raising it. Do I have any volunteers that want to share their mind map? Your mind map is actually your online marketing plan. So you now have a plan, right? That is your plan. Because people don't think in terms of lists, they think visually. And this is way more effective. It's known to be the way we think. It's the way our brain works. That's how mind maps are composed. So this is going to be better for you, for your online marketing plan, than building a list. So anybody want to come up and share theirs?
Mine's not singer-songwriter oriented. I did mine from a recording perspective.
That's okay. If you want to share it, come on up.
My writing is terrible.
Okay. Perfect. Let's give a clap for him. Yeah, if you want to draw it up, you're welcome to. You'll be the teacher for a second.
Sweet. Well, I started with the idea of, because I've already got a website put together, but it has been extremely ineffective because I haven't had time to do anything with it, and this is going to be my year to actually record stuff, as you may have noticed.
Yeah.
So I started out saying just, well, Facebook, obviously. And from a recording perspective, photos are great for two reasons on my side of life, because I can show my setup and my gear, but also I can show I'm out working.
Yeah.
These are the musicians I'm working with. And by taking photos of the musicians, then they go and I get bands linking photos from my page and things like that.
I like it.
So they start spreading that as well, and doing as well while I'm actually on site doing text posts as well. Now, something that I constantly forget to do from my website is I'm not Google optimized. So looking me up, you have to almost type in my exact website to find me. If you look up recording studios in Calgary, I'm not there.
I can help with that.
So I may request that, yes. And as singer-songwriters, that's important too, because if somebody's looking for a musician to fill in for the night, if they look up Calgary singer-songwriter, they might not find you or anything to do with you, kind of thing. So that can be good, as well as things like Reverb Nation and stuff. You can put yourself in different categories. So that's something that I need to do more of. Then connected to Google, because they own them now, YouTube.
Yes.
And this actually ties back to the Facebook thing, because just because I post something on Facebook, I need to put the YouTube video on my website and on Facebook as well, not just online and just expect people to see it. But on top of the YouTube thing, I can do, on-site stuff. I can put up advice on recording. So if somebody's putting a demo together and they get some good advice from me, and it turns out that they're looking to record in the city, I might be the one they call because they like the advice they got.
That's great.
As well as gear reviews, because those,
Yes.
again, not only does it show, hey, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to my equipment, shows off what my equipment is, it shows I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing, and if you hire me, this is something that I'm going to be using on your recording. From a singer-songwriter perspective, that might not come up as often, but I mean, if you do a review of a guitar or of a microphone, and you demo that guitar or microphone, the person who's looking up that microphone has now heard you, and you have a link to the song on the bottom of the YouTube page. That's somebody who probably would never heard you before, because they're not looking for a singer-songwriter, they're looking for an AKG 1000S or something like that.
That's right.
And then from there, I do have, on my website, I did put in a blog section that I never use, but it's just going to be like a centralized thing of like, as I misspelled current, I'm sure, I don't know if that's 2 hours or not.
Yes.
Current, past, and future projects, and then archive them as such, just so that people can see what I've done in the past and what I've got coming up. For 2 reasons. One is then they can see what I've done. They can go, again, I'll have links to the bands so they can hear what I've recorded, as well as then when they go to future events, they know if I'm going to be booked solid or not. So right there, not only can they see, oh, are you recording any bands I like? They can see, oh, he doesn't have a lot coming up. I wonder if he's available to do a quick thing here or there. One thing I forgot to put on here, though, because I tied everything into the central website, is I forgot to put up Kijiji and Craigslist and whatnot, which classifies both in this case and in the singer-songwriter side of life and just the performance side of things. I've gotten a lot of gigs just by going on the Kijiji classifieds, and there's a section in there that's like, we need an opening band to pay this amount, or we need a house band, or there's actually a lot of recording studios that put up ads in there because it is frequented by a bunch of people. Strangely enough, there's also a lot of ads in the musician section for home done tattoos, which I don't recommend. Just be aware that those are there. But yeah, that was kind of where I ended up.
I love it. Yeah, that's fantastic. Give that was there any other questions before I move on?
I got one, just a comment. There's so much out there that it's like, like one person, unless you got somebody doing it, it's overwhelming. So what would you recommend as like, say, like 2 are the best, or 3 are the best, or something for?
Yeah, I was anticipating that question. That's a great Ari. I think you're absolutely right. It is very, very difficult to stay on top of all of your social campaigns. That doesn't negate the need to do it, but there is a lot to keep on top of when you are a musician, you're writing songs, you're doing rehearsals, you're going to the studio. You sort of want to leverage that time that you're in the studio or whatever to take a quick Instagram photo. Yes. Hey, I'm in the studio recording. Great. People are excited, right? They want to know that stuff. But as far as what to focus on, because I think that is kind of the key word, is, I'd say Twitter. If one is all you can do, and if it were me, that's what I would pick. I can just send the most traffic to my website. I can easily gain followers. I can follow others. It's not as easy as it used to be. You know, you could just post whatever, people start following you if they seemed interesting. That's why you have to seem compelling on social media. You can't just, unfortunately, just post random updates about this, that, or the other thing. You want it somewhat focused. You can talk about your day-to-day here and there, but you should be somewhat focused with your story. And I'm a little torn as to if you only need to do 2. It's kind of a close tie for me. But if you were to do 3, believe it or not. Okay. If you were to do 2, it's going to be a combination of this or a combination of this. But if you're gonna do 3, there's your plan. Why? Why is Google Plus so important? Any ideas?
Because it's new and there's no competition yet.
Is Google owned?
Yeah.
Because of YouTube, because it's linked to YouTube very well, I guess.
Yeah, those are some good reasons for sure. One of the things I've noticed recently is that I can post something to Google Plus, and it could just be a title with a link, because I often do post blog posts. It will actually start showing up in search results. It used to be that you'd search for a keyword or a phrase, and it would be a set number of results, but you could change 1 word or 2 words in what you're looking for, and all of a sudden it's a completely different set of results, which means Google's really changing the way they show search results. Yes?
I think Google in itself, the whole Google concept got a lot more interconnected in its very different subsets. One of my housemates recently discovered me on YouTube, which is odd since I don't know. There's nothing, no mentioning of what I do in real life on my YouTube channel, and there's no mentioning of my name, and still he got my vlog posts right there
Yes.
while he was watching some kind of random video, being logged into Google into his Google account though. So there's a link that just connects in what I think a very creepy way, but it's there.
It depends how much privacy you want. Google Plus is almost like the old Facebook. So don't expect privacy if you use it. But if you post from YouTube, there is an option to automate the posting of a YouTube video to your Google Plus account as well. So it's just another way to get discovered fairly easily. But yeah, search results is huge. I've seen my posts on Google Plus show up in search results. That tells me, I mean, it's surprising because it's not as though I spent a lot of time optimizing them. But if people are searching, especially in Calgary, an area where I'm located, where we are located, that's going to come up in search results.
So, but you post on Google Plus, or you post on your website, or how does that work?
Yeah, Google Plus is one of those cases where I usually do go there to post things, because
Okay.
not everything gets automatically shared up, but I will share a tool a little later that will do that for sure, because we want to try to optimize and be efficient as musicians. That's part of your question already.
Yeah, like one thing we used to do with my band, I think we went through Reverb Nation, and Reverb Nation sent updates to Facebook, to Twitter, to everything all at once. So we posted it once and then just went everywhere.
That would be one of the benefits of Reverb Nation or even MySpace, for sure. Yeah, because it'll send to multiple channels and that.
But the thing is, you can only post words and links that way. You can't post pictures on Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
Well, and I think that's the tricky part is, like, if we want to be really good online marketers, we have to go to individual sites and post individually every time, because then you want to optimize your post for Facebook, which is going to, if you have a large photo, it's going to show up as a large photo, and that's more engaging than just a text update.
Right.
You can still do text updates, and sometimes they get noticed. But every site delivers them a little differently, and that's why.
It's more personalized too.
Yeah, that's the big part. You can represent your content in any number of ways. Marketers do this as well, where if the blog post or their content they've created doesn't go over as well as they would have thought, they'll send it out again with a different title.
Then you probably like time it differently, like post on Facebook at a certain time and then Twitter on a certain time.
Yeah, that's good. No, you can actually search online for, there's some infographics out there that will actually show you when the optimal time of posting are. That will, for your content to be discovered the most. It's important to remember though that I believe it's something like 60-70% of North America is in the Eastern time zone. So that's going to vary by a couple of hours. Any other questions before we move on? Awesome. Yeah, I really like what you did there, Dan. Definitely, I think it gives people a lot of ideas about what they could be doing to support their online marketing plan. So I want to talk a bit about content marketing. I've already mentioned it a little bit. I don't want to go too much in too much depth. I could probably talk about it forever. But I think the main form of content you create as a musician is music, right? And we talked about how you can upload it to SoundCloud and then repost it to WordPress and things like that. You can also take demos and song snippets just to tease people about what's to come. And that can be a good way to engage. So your music is your primary form of content. Let's not forget that, because we can get really caught up in this stuff. And it's in the wrong hands, it's addicting too, or even in the right hands. 2 is blog posts, and I think this is where Ari's thinking it starts to get overwhelming. Oh, I should do blogs too? Is that? That is a huge part of optimizing for Google. So your stuff gets discovered in search, your website gets discovered in search, especially if you're targeting keywords, but musicians don't necessarily have the time to do a lot of research into keywords. Here's a few suggestions, and I think you'll find these to be quite useful. One is like what bands or artists influence you. Talk about those and use them in the title of your blog posts. Another is to do reviews. So review the music of the people that you enjoy and like. Another is what have people told you sound like? What artists, what bands do you have people told you sound like? Because if they're fans of Tom Petty, or if they're fans of anybody else, Leonard Skinner or what have you, and people have told you sound like them, you can start to be discovered for those keywords as well. And if they're already partial to a certain band, and you sound like them, they're going to like that too. I know musicians are often they don't like to be pigeonholed most of the time. That's where we go, no, I don't want to list my influences, I don't want to list what I sound like, and I don't even want to list my genre. Unfortunately, that's going to work against you, especially with the press and the media. The press and the media want to know, if they're going to review your album, they want to know right away what you sound like and what your genre is. If they have to go looking for it, they're not going to put their article in the magazine. Right? I know that as a writer as well. I'm just not going to review something that I can't identify or compare to something else. It's too hard. It's too much work. Same goes for your biography or your bio. It should be cut and paste ready. If it looks good enough that someone can cut it and paste it and put it into an article, then you've got a great bio. But if it's not, awesome, Alex has got it. If it's not, then you may want to spend some time working on your bio. Another tip for your bio, put your contact information right under it. What are people going to do after reading your bio? We need to be thinking about these things. Are they going to buy your album? Maybe. Sure, you could put that call to action under your bio. But the main thing they're looking for is to contact you. Maybe they want to book you for a show. Maybe they want to write an article about you. Just make it easy for them. Make it easy for press people. Provide a print quality photo as well, like 300 dpi. And if you're in a band, the picture should be of the band members close together. Much easier to work with than far apart, because they can't crop it. And that's problematic. But make sure the bio and the picture is something you're proud of, because that's what the press is going to use. They're not going to bother to come and see you, take a picture of you, and then put it up on their article. It's just not going to happen. 3 is podcast audio, of course. Recording a bit of a podcast audio today myself. This can be very time consuming. Yeah, I would not discourage any musician from trying to create a podcast. I think it's a great way to stay connected. I would say it's even better than blog posts, because people listen to podcasts for longer. Blog posts take 2 to 5 minutes to read. There's no guarantee people stay on your sites. With podcasts, you can appeal to the iTunes crowd, have something free for them, right? Have something paid on iTunes, that's great, but have something free for them as well. And people will get to know you better because they can hear your voice. and they'll listen for anywhere, it depends what length you want your podcast to be, but it could be 5 minutes or 50 minutes, even 150 minutes, and a lot of people will still stay engaged with your show longer than they're ever going to read your blog. So you could almost combine the two if you wanted to. Like your podcast could be your blogs, right? I think that's a good way, like just create a show summary of what the show is about, like 300 words or so, a lot less writing. But podcasts do require some editing usually, not a lot, and that can be time consuming. And, but again, they're still an engaging form of media. Likewise, videos. We all know about YouTube and how it supposedly broke some artists. I feel like that's somewhat suspect. It could have been a combination of media promotion. I would say, don't believe the hype too much of what's out there. This band became huge overnight. Chances are it was 10 years in the making, most of the time. So don't be afraid to work a little bit. But chances are you've probably at least started a YouTube channel. You maybe even have a few videos up there already. And you want to continue to add those too. But I think you should maybe focus on a couple or just choose one. Because you can post videos to your blog, you can post podcast audio to your blog. And then there's various other forms of content like infographics or checklists or PDFs, guides, white papers, or ebooks that people use to market themselves using content. As a musician, unless you're a graphic designer with a lot of skill and talent, developing the infographics is going to be hard. But you can find infographics out there that you can share on your blog and just write up your own summary, your own thoughts, your own perspective on it.
Press kits and that stuff.
Yeah, totally. And just link up to the source, right? Because otherwise, if we don't give credit, that could get us into trouble. We don't want to get into trouble when we're blogging. It's the last thing. Unless it creates some nice controversy, which is just news. And news is used all the time to help musicians gain exposure. All right, so tools and resources. If we were talking about seduction, this would be the pickup lines, right? Let's get straight to the pickup lines. So I just have a few recommendations here for tools that you can use. One of them is called Hootsuite. I'll write it up here. So as you can maybe tell from the name, it's for Twitter, but it actually connects a variety of other sites too. Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, I think Mixi and Foursquare as well, if you ever heard of those. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to schedule posts in advance of them ever coming out. And you can say whatever time you want on whatever day you want. And there's generally, even with the free version, there's generally no limit to how many posts you can schedule in advance. Okay, so if you were going, man, I don't have time to do this, take one day out of your month, just one day, spend a few hours planning out your posts, schedule them all in Hootsuite. You're done. There's your month. Depends how many times you want to post. If you want to do 3, 4, 5 a day, then it'd be a lot of work. I've done it myself, and it's a lot of work. But versus checking in for 15 minutes every day, which is not a bad idea, because you still want to interact with the people that choose to interact with you. But that tool can help you automate some of your marketing. Another one that I like is Buffer. I actually like it somewhat more than Hootsuite. Unfortunately, the free version only allows you to queue up to about 10 posts at a time, but it will automatically send things out at times that are most known to engage. And you can just configure the preferences and say, I want 3 posts today, or 3 posts on any given day sent out. The difference is you don't have to spend all your time scheduling or telling Buffer what time and what day you want your post to go out. It'll just send them out when it thinks it's the best time. You can also queue up a bunch of posts and just hit scramble, so it'll put them in a different order. This one connects, Buffer connects with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and another site called app.net. That's a pretty good 4-pronged or 5-pronged strategy. For my money, anyway. If you're using WordPress, which I do recommend, you can get the Jetpack plugin. It's free. And it does a lot of things. A ton of things. It's amazing how many things Jetpack does. But one of the things it does is every time you create a blog post, you can connect up to 5 social media accounts and have it automatically publicized to all of them whenever you create a blog post on your WordPress site. I believe Jetpack connects with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and a site called Path, which you may not have heard of. But I think that's a great plugin to. It'll also keep track of the stats of your site automatically. If you want your content publicized using Jetpack, you still have to connect individual accounts. So that takes a little bit of upfront setup work. And then one podcast or blog that I sometimes tune into is Social Media Examiner. It's not for musicians. It is primarily for social media experts and social media marketing online. But if you want to hear about success stories, if you want to hear how people use what different sites, it's one of the podcasts or blogs you can tune into. I believe the podcast is actually called Social Media Marketing Podcast, quite simply. And the site is Social Media Examiner. And of course, you can go to my site, dotcast.com. Okay, this is where I try to tailor everything to musicians, but has been a long running site, and my perfectionist tendencies don't allow me to recommend everything I've ever done on there. It's possible that I'll be starting up a new site, and it'll be very similar in nature, but it'll be a little more focused, because my whole thing is music entrepreneurship. So I want to do something that's maybe a little more tailored to that, but it'll still feature a lot of the content, some of the same stuff, and also a lot of the questions you asked today will actually turn into blog posts, right? So I can elaborate on everything we've talked about. And that's the stuff that's going to help you in the long run. Okay, so we have another activity. This time I want you to take some time to create your story. It's a little harder to do. But earlier we talked about the fact that your story is what connects with your audience. Once you have that, you have your central purpose, your central focus, out of which everything else can flow. Everybody has a story, and I can help you find it too if you want. But I would like you to begin to think about it on your own. What makes you interesting or unique? And there are a lot of life events, right? Maybe it's a death in the family. Maybe you're in a band with a cousin of yours. That's interesting. Or maybe you're an English band playing reggae. That's a little different. I'm sure it exists, but... So begin to formulate and think about what your story is. We'll give you 15, 20 minutes.
The problem, and this is actually something I should probably ask, is I have to talk to my band about something like this, because should I tell the story of how the band came to be, or the fact that I'm the principal songwriter, the front man, etc., do I make it my story? And I can see both being marketable, but at the same time, whether my band's comfortable or not with me being the center of the universe, kind of thing.
Yeah, as a band, you definitely want to work on your band story.
You could do every individual in the band.
Yeah, you can do that too. I think it would be worth collaborating with the band. I think you can still put together something that it's better than not having anything, I feel. Like you could start putting together something and your band members may disagree in parts, you can tweak that. You can revise that later. But it's still valuable for you guys to have, and especially if nobody else ever does it.
Yeah.
nobody else gets around to doing it, then you're kind of missing a key piece of the whole picture.
Who's the quietest one in your band? Like the least braggy?
Me.
Is it you?
Yeah. I seldom even mention on stage that I'm the one that wrote the songs.
And also,
I'm getting better at that.
also whichever's more compelling. Like, is the story of how you met interesting? Or is the story of each individual member and the experience that kept the whole band more interesting?
There's also that third option, like the Active Light thing, where they had that story that was like complete nothing, total nonsense.
Yeah. The buzzword story. It works in the business world.
Yeah. We have a friend in his band story that they had. It was like gibberish. It was like reading Lord of the Rings. Like, and once there was the legend of blah blah blah. This was how they were selling their band. It was pretty funny.
How long do you recommend for your bio? Like a paragraph, 250 words?
3 to 5.
3 to 500?
No, 3 to 5 paragraphs.
3 to 5 words.
300 to 500 words is good to shoot for. But you, if possible, you want a short, medium, and long version. You can have a one sentence, like elevator pitch.
Okay, yeah.
And then kind of the 2 or 3 paragraph version. That's probably how much people are going to read. 3 is good. And then maybe a 5 to 6 or 7 paragraph version that might come in handy in other ways.
For like an article or something.
Exactly. If they ask for more details, then you've got it.
Got it already.
Yeah. Just put it on a folder in your desktop and you're good to go. For whenever that request comes.
Yeah.
And it will. All right, so I need at least one person to come up and share their story, what they've got written so far. Any volunteers?
I can do mine.
Okay.
Because if anybody's seen my website, it's really similar to that.
Yeah, I like what's on your website. Let's give a clap to Instructor Jonathan.
Instructor. Professional title. Alright, so this is normally how I position myself. It's as a storytelling songwriter who wants to see the world and talk about everybody in it. My music is exciting, cinematic, and emotionally charged, and set against a backdrop of unique and memorable music. That work? Does that sound like me? Doesn't sound like I'm lying?
No.
That's always my worry, is that somebody's going to be like, come on.
I like it. I think.
But you've got to do that.
Yeah.
You can't make yourself sound boring.
Well, I hired somebody to, I wrote what I thought, and then I had somebody else make it sound braggy.
Ah.
So then I didn't feel the guilt.
This is something that's tough for a lot of us to do, but I think you have to have some vulnerability in there as far as letting people know about who you are. That's the one thing I think it could use, but I like it. Obviously, it tells people who you are in a short, concise description. Anybody else want to share?
I want to hear Alex's.
Yeah, let's hear a little bit of Alex's and then before we get Alex.
Is your real name Alex?
No. My real name is Bob, but that doesn't work on stage. So I wrote this about half a year ago. It's not up to date, but I think it works. Somebody else told me it works. Born and raised in the declining Soviet Union, educated and politically nourished in the European Union, Goemon soon had his lifetime fill in Union experience. In this consequential request for everlasting loneliness, he took on a Japanese pseudonym and grew himself an outrageous and outright obsolete Irish mustache. Equipped with the most distracting voice since Jericho, the 12 Strings of Salvation, and a black hole in his tummy, he set sail to conquer Canada and became the first Vice Chancellor of Newfoundland. Alas, due to momentary academic distractions, Goemon is now stuck in Calgary, where he sings for justice, cookies, and that warm inner feeling that only a genuine Guinness can overcome. But no matter how many instruments end up stuck in his basement, his most powerful argument will always stay his voice. So say his sleepless housemates, and they ought to know.
Nice. I love it.
How long were you Vice Chancellor of Newfoundland for?
I haven't done that yet. That is the interim.
No, that's the future.
I'm working on that.
Yeah, humor works well for a story, but also something that makes people angry or something that makes people cry. If your story makes you cry, Tony talked a little bit about that yesterday. That's how you know it's compelling, for sure. What's from the heart, right? Because you know when you hit upon it.
I wish I was a one-legged dog. That would be really easy to make people.
Yeah.
So
So
like a cat.
Yeah.
the
Nobody likes those already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the two key things you're walking away with today is your mind map, which is your online marketing plan. That's what you're now going to go out and follow. And you're walking away with your story, which can be your bio, but it's really your purpose. Why do I exist? Why do I write music? Why do I create music? Who do I create music for? Those are great questions to answer. So I want to field any last questions before wrapping up.
Do you know how Reverb Nation does their ranking, and does
Yeah.
it really matter in the end? If you're ranked where?
I don't think so.
No,
It's sort of,
it's their marketing scheme.
It changes like every 2 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Georgia Sound's been top, like, has been number one for months.
Well, I can tell you
Tony's
why.
up in the top 5 and top 10.
They, you know, if you go to their Facebook page, you can see how many likes they have. I'm not here to judge, but I have heard that they've bought a lot of likes, and that
Yeah.
propels your rank. So it really factors in a lot of social media things, which is not a bad thing. But in some cases, it becomes the battle of the bands, or just a popularity contest of who is supposedly appearing
Yeah.
more popular than others.
Yeah, like that's what I heard, that they actually pay somebody to like manage their sites, right? And
Yeah.
so through whatever automation, they can be number one, right?
I think that's a really good thing to know about as a musician. Once you come into a little bit more money that you can put it back into your career, you can hire virtual assistants or just freelancers and pay them a very small, minimal cost to manage your social media, your website. Now, there are small things that you can't be bothered to take care of. I don't want any of you to sit around on your website trying to move your logo 2 pixels to the left. Spending hours doing that. That's not going to be a good use of your time, and we all know that. So, you know, there's a lot of, because of the global economy, there's a lot of offshore people that you can hire that are trustworthy. I've heard, in particular, Philippines and Singapore are phenomenal because they understand your language. To hire a person full time in the Philippines is about $600 to $800, and that will actually help them move to a new community. For them, it's quite a bit of money. If they don't actually choose not to be paid more, and here's the reason: the government will start looking at them. So virtual assistance is an option, or even just a small job. Let's say you got $60, go look on Elance or Odesk or a site like that, and then ask them to manage whatever it is. Whip up a quick logo for me, whatever. And you could probably pay significantly less than that.
There is a website, I think, called 99 Logos or something like that.
99 Designs.
Yeah, 99 Designs.
Mm-hmm.
Which you can post a request for anything you really want designed,
Yeah.
and they will have 99 peeps smashing their heads together, all of them coming up with an individual design idea, and you basically pay the one that you favor.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
logo is something I do recommend, especially on the band side of
Totally.
things, but on like a lot of singer-songwriters don't know the power of a t-shirt. Like, you can get them for $5 each, and you can put your logo on it. That's also on your CD cover, that's also on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
And then somebody sees that shirt and they like the look of it. Like, I know people who've worn band shirts that have never heard the band before because they like the look of the t-shirt. And I mean, you can sell a shirt for $10 and make $5 off of it these days.
Yes. You bring up a really important point, which is a consistency in branding. Showing yourself to be kind of the same brand or same logo, same outward appearance on all of your social networks or your website or your merch. having some consistency in that way is very important. If your Facebook logo looks like it was designed by a 12-year-old, and your Google Plus one looks like it was done professionally, something's off here.
Unless you're a children's artist, then having a Facebook logo that looks like it was designed by a 12-year-old.
Dude, I'm not saying there isn't potential there. You could have all of your logos look like they were designed by 12-year-olds. Right?
I'm just trying to put my bad drawing skills under the table. On that point, though, I do actually know a really good artist that's always looking for work, and she did my album cover and my website and everything. She's amazing and totally dedicated. So if anybody needs a logo or anything, or even a website design, I don't know if she'd take on another website, but maybe.
Reasonable in cost too, right?
What's-
Yeah. Her name's Kaman Leung. So her website is Hello Kaman, which sounds really funny when you say it out loud. Yeah, HELLOKAMAN.ca.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna try intentionally to sound like a used car salesman here, but you can tell her I sent you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
also paint.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we have one in our midst. Yeah. You paint like with what? Like oil paints or like any kind
I
of
use
thing?
acrylic and watercolor and pencils
Cool.
and stuff.
nice.
Yeah, and then I sell them online in like cafes and various establishments. So there's that.
Yeah. You should start offering specifically to do album art. You probably
Yeah.
get a lot of gigs because we all know you.
Or even just graphics for blog posts. We all need graphics for blog posts.
Yeah.
So
I can do that. I also take photos.
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
And video. And you provide witty commentary too.
That's-
And that's free, I guess,
That's
eh?
priceless.
Yeah.
I do artwork as well. I just didn't advertise that. Think about 99 designs. It will cost a little bit more, right? There will be probably up to 100 people bidding for your project, which is the great part because you can go with a design that you like and you think fits your brand the best. But it does cost a bit more. But definitely a recommended service. Any other?
You know how much it costs?
If I remember correctly, it's about $150 for the basic package. Yeah. Any other questions?
Is that a year or
I think that's for one design, but I could be wrong.
How much
for one design?
150.
Okay.
I think it used to be a little less.
But you get to see 99 of them, right?
Yeah, they're
And
all
if you-
bidding for your project, and only one person gets paid for, like, really, right?
And if you don't like any of them, which is unlikely, do you still pay the 150? I'm guessing yes.
I think what you can do is, if you find one that's closest,
Yeah.
you can ask for a revision. Just say, I want this changed, and then it'd be perfect.
Do you have any insight into emails, email accounts? What gets flagged as spam? What gets cast out by any kind of filters? So I'm trying to set up a couple of gigs along the way when I travel to York and Berlin this fall. And I sent out I think about 30 emails and I got no reply back. And I know I'm not that bad. Something is wrong here.
Yeah, something changed recently. First point I want to make, though, this is just this is about presenting yourself professionally. Here's our first option, and then we have which of these is better and why.
The second one has a doubling in word, so
Yeah.
there's a potential for dropout in as spam there, I guess.
Yeah, this one is better. It could be Alex, it could be, Jason, whatever it is. But that's your bandname.com, right?
What about info?
Yeah, info. Totally, you can set it up. This won't necessarily give you more credibility. I think an email's a name will. But here's what changed. Most people use Gmail, right? Does everybody here use Gmail?
Yeah.
I still have a Hotmail account.
So,
Yeah, me too.
None of this .@live stuff.
yeah.
What Gmail did, it used to be that everything was delivered to one inbox. Now it's actually delivered to multiple inbox. You need to see the tabs at the top of your page, and it says something like promotions. Okay, and then there's another one that's I think social or
Yeah.
You're not going to see these emails unless you click on the tab. So maybe you stop seeing, I don't know, we all wind up on a ton of mailing lists. Maybe you stop seeing Adobe's newsletter, or maybe you stop seeing Apple's newsletter. That's why. But here's how you do it. Every email is addressed to a person. Usually with email marketing, if you're using a platform like Wiebe or MailChimp, iContact, Constant Contact, what it'll let you do is insert the person's name in the first line. So it'll come up as Dear Bob. Then the text of your message should be personalized. It should be conversational, as if you're talking to that person. Hey Bob, I just wanted to let you know I have a new CD coming out. And this is the day on which it's coming out, and I think it's a really great product, and here's why. And here's why I think you should check it out now, because I'm offering a sale, or whatever. You're talking to somebody. This will still wind up in the personal email. That's how some marketers are coping with this change.
So how do you get that? Like, how do you know, for example, you're sending stuff to bars and things like that, so you don't know the person's name?
Right. Well, if people opt in for your list, then they know. But if you're just sending, let's say, like a personal email, it'll still be found in their inbox.
Okay.
It's getting to them. For whatever reason, they're choosing not to respond.
Okay.
But this is specifically for email marketing campaigns. You probably already send out personal messages with your normal email, so it's just a matter of making your email marketing the same. Do text primarily, few attachments as possible. Maybe put a picture in there because that's a kind of nice touch. Faces engage online. People like faces. They're drawn to them immediately.
So if I send an email, it's just a picture of my face.
Well, what do you want to do with that?
All these other emails are just words, but this guy put his face in.
Actually, a clever use is like maybe a sideways profile, and you're looking this way, and the content's on this side.
Ooh,
Oh, that's clever, yeah.
that's clever.
Or how about like one of those paintings, so we'll see, you can help me out with this, where like the eyes follow you and wherever you are in the room. So whenever they walk past the computer screen, it looks like I'm doing this.
Have you read my email?
I wouldn't recommend using Flash too often. It's outdated technology, and unfortunately, Apple doesn't support it very well. So yeah, that's hugely important for email. And these email platforms will usually tell you what percentage of your messages are actually being opened and then clicked on. So that helps you determine whether or not you're being discovered. I think at one point I had a message that was, being discovered at about 20 to 25%, which is really about average, and it's pretty good for email marketing campaigns. Suddenly dropped about 10%. And really the only main discernible reason that I could find out is the tab browsing.
Well, the old way is still available. I'm not sure if they're gonna make it unavailable at any time, but if you go to these settings, you can revert back to the old one list.
Yeah, people can still revert back to the old Gmail, doesn't mean they will. But if you want to check your messages, you have to remember that they're in tabs.
I actually do like that, to tell you the truth, the tabs.
Yeah, it can work for you or against you. Like as a Gmail user, you love it because now you don't have to be bothered with this junk.
Yeah.
But as a musician, you have to remember to connect with people. Make sure emails are getting found. Anything?
What would you use like for the email, like making a personalized email? What do you use for that thing?
Yeah, most email software options do have a free option, especially if your list is still small, several hundred, up to about 1,000 usually. There are some music-based ones, I don't remember what they are right now, but here's what marketers are generally using. I still have iContact account these days, but most of the time I'm using MailChimp. So if you want support, use MailChimp. I could probably help you. Aweber's been around a long time, so has credibility, reputation.
And if you're sending to a lot of people, like 50 or 100 people at the same time, don't put them in the to box, put them in the BCC box, the blind carbon copy. Otherwise, they all might get treated as spam and not end up in the person's thing. But it also that's what feeds spam. People pick up those lists and you create spam.
If you use any of these, it'll automatically do that for you. You won't have to. If you're sending out your own...
From Gmail or something.
Yeah, if you're sending out from Gmail, or I use Thunderbird myself, sending out emails to multiple people that way, yes, absolutely, BCC. Well, let me know what you thought of this session. It's probably not perfect, but I did put some time. And we're back with today's closing segment. First of all, you can find the show notes for this episode at dawcast.com/episode 46. No capital letters and no spaces. You'll want to go there because I always go out of my way to try to provide great show notes for every show. So if you're looking for a summary or just the links to the things that I'm talking about in the workshop, you'll definitely want to go there. So if you'd like to learn more about social media strategy, I definitely want to encourage you to check out david.dawcast.com, and there you will find a portfolio of the various writing jobs and articles I've written, and you also get a chance to learn more about my consulting work. The page is still under construction, but I think if this workshop connected with you, I think you get a sense of who I am and the kind of ideas that I can provide and the ways in which I can help you. So definitely reach me through that page. And if you've been sticking around to the very end of the show, thank you so much for tuning in. Please leave a 5-star rating and review in iTunes. This is how we get the word out about the show. And we can't do this ourselves. This is something our listeners have to do. So please provide some feedback. Let us know what you thought. We know that going to iTunes is sometimes awkward and not everybody uses it anymore, but that's how podcasts spread. Finally, go to dawcast.com for additional tools, tips, resources, blog posts, and podcast audios. We'll see you next time.